Let's go. Welcome to the Cage Nation. Welcome to the Cage Nation. Welcome to the Cage Nation. No one can drop us, no one can stop us. We are the warriors, no one can top us, no one can rock us. We are the warriors, no one can drop us, no one can stop us. We are the warriors, no one can top us, no one can rock us. We are the warriors.
Gold bond powder, dude. That's all I gotta say about that.
I'm gonna be on a therapist's couch trying to purge that memory from my collective Rolodex.
Are you gonna tell a man who's nicknamed the Axe Murderer, hey, knock that off?
Hey, he can do whatever he wants if he's nicknamed the Axe Murderer.
Exactly.
He can adjust, he can... Well, yeah, sky's the limit. I don't care. What's up? Another episode of Cage Nation TV is on the air. I'm Drew Shannon. He's Albert Karen. And welcome. What's up, buddy?
I think it was a great week to be a fight fan. We got a great newsreel coming up for you guys. Checked Facebook just before you got here. Ethan Goss got an opponent named for Complete Devastation, MMA 9.
Yeah.
He's going to be fighting, I believe his name is Rich Conklin? Rob Conklin. It's a Conklin.
It's a Conklin.
So Ethan, the Wolverine Goss, training at a Team Titan Fitness here in State College, PA. He's pretty high on the card. That card is shaping up every single day. I mean, every day that goes by, Ryan Glenn is doing something new and amazing with that card. So November just really can't get here quick enough.
I'm telling you what, it is going to be here before you know it. We'll be thinking about turkeys, Thanksgiving, and fight night in
Season's
November.
beatings.
That was...
I liked it. I liked it. What are you going to do?
I don't know. That was ECW. Anyways, coming up, we will have the newsreel here in just a few. We're also going to do our random segment and the hot topic, the difference between a martial artist and a fighter. All that coming up next on Cage Nation TV. You don't go nowhere, or he'll hit you.
No, I won't.
Okay.
It's time for another edition of Cage Nation TV Newsreel, spanning the globe to bring you the latest news in MMA. Floyd Money Mayweather Jr. says, I want to promote MMA fighters. Boxing's undefeated superstar has done a little backpedaling on his opinion of the world's fastest growing combat sport as he was talking to Fight Hype. Mayweather speculated that his trusted advisor, Al Heyman, may want to start adding mixed martial artists to his stable of fighters already currently under contract. Mayweather, never afraid to burn a bridge or two, also went out on a limb and said he'd like to work with Dana White. White, president of the UFC, has not been too open to co-promoting with any promotion ever. White could have signed a deal with the last Emperor Fedor Emelianenko, but could not get around Fedor's stipulation of the UFC co-promoting with M1 Global. Well, hold the phone, King. JR is confident he could call MMA. Jim Ross, one of the most prolific voices in commentary, recently touched upon the topic of calling fights for the UFC. Ross was quoted as saying, I think that, quite frankly, this may sound egocentric, but I think the transition from calling a pro wrestling match and calling MMA fights would be easy. I think it would just be getting more familiar with fighters, more familiar with techniques, nuances that I try to study with ample preparation. Ross made his comments on the MMA Hour. Ross was guided to retirement from World Wrestling Entertainment after an incident with an intoxicated Ric Flair that Ross was allegedly responsible for. Ross's latest tenure with the WWE lasted for 20 years. Joe Sun, former MMA fighter and actor, is being charged with murder in the beating death of his cellmate. Sun, whose MMA career apexed with Keith Hackney punching him in the groin like his purse was being stolen, was serving a life sentence in the Wasco State Prison for the abduction and torturing of a woman. Prosecutors could seek the death penalty in the case. A coroner ruled that the cause of death for Thomas Krama, Sun's cellmate, was attributed to injuries sustained from punches and kicks. The brutality of the death will be a factor in prosecution. And is Big Country a Gillette man? Well, we're going to find out. In anticipation of Daniel D.C. Cormier and Big Country Roy Nelson's heavyweight bout at UFC 66, the Cormier camp has already made bold statements that Roy Nelson had better shave his trademark beard, or else they will file a formal complaint against him to the Texas State Athletic Commission. The TSAC has both fighters' interests in mind, but one has to ask themselves, does a beard give you an athletic advantage? In the world of combat sports, having a beard is another way of saying that you've got a good jaw and are not susceptible to knockout finishes. Those beards are figurative. Nelson responded with, unfair advantage, then Cormier should have had a beard when he failed in the Olympics in 2008 and 2004. Is that hitting below the belts or below the beard? This has been another edition of the Cage Nation TV Newsreel. Stay tuned to Cage Nation TV on Facebook for the latest in MMA news.
Since the dawn of furniture, there has been only one way to keep an infant from rolling off a couch or chair, and that is unsafely cramming cushions against the piece of furniture and hoping the baby doesn't work him or herself under them. Until now. Introducing the Zoster. The Zoster is a revolutionary infant safety product that easily wraps around a cushion to keep your baby from rolling off a couch or chair. The Zoster is made with a fleece material complete with a waterproof underneath to keep various liquids away from your upholstery. The Zoster is currently available in solid colors and pattern designs. You can order the Zoster online today at thezoster.com.
Welcome back to Cage Nation TV. It's time now.
Well, before we get into the random,
Oh.
couple things that I'd like to say. Number one,
Okay.
me and Mrs. Cameron celebrated our 6-year anniversary this week.
Congratulations to you and Mrs. Cameron.
Thank you very much. That's 6 years of her just putting up with the big nerdy guy just watching fights all the time, and we're very happily married. I'm glad to say that.
She's a strong woman.
Exactly. Number two, I think there's a special place in HE double hockey sticks for Joe-san, who we just saw in the newsreel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in an Austin Powers movie, that's fantastic, but you do what you did, end up in prison, and then to do that again, I mean, I'm glad that your MMA career reached its height with being punched in the junk. That's just universal justice.
Pretty much, yeah. That's what we call karma, my friend.
Oh, absolutely. Number three, Drew brought a ghost to the Candy Cameron Studios. when there was an SD card that he was positive he didn't bring.
Let me explain this really briefly, okay? At the time we're taping this, which is Thursday.
Yeah.
We'll break the fourth wall for you. Wednesday night, as part of something I was doing for the radio station, 105.9 Quick Rock, streaming worldwide at 1059qwykrock.com. Bing. I went on a paranormal investigation last night from about 9:30 all the way through until about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, where I actually did hear
some phenomena.
Some phenomena. I actually did hear it. It wasn't my mind playing tricks on me. I did hear a little girl in the Osceola Mills in the community library. We're wondering if she may have come with us, because when we left for the taping today, I was supposed to bring him his 16 gig memory card, his SD card. And I asked my daughter to get it and bring it with. We get here to the Cameron Studios, and I ask her if she has the card, and she's like, oh, no, I think I left it in the car. So we went downstairs, took a look, or I went downstairs to the car, took a look, it's not in there. Came back up to the studios, and I was like, do you want me to just go back and get it? He's like, no, it's all right, Fitz, we'll just get it next week. So, long story short, we're just about ready to tape. I look down, and there is the SD card. She didn't have it on her, I didn't have it on me, it just mystically appeared. So if there's any sort of strange phenomena that's going on during this episode, it's probably my fault. So
you're gonna end up launching Jason Thacker's career again just by that act. I mean, my SD card was found, and now Jason Thacker's gonna be the middleweight champion.
Now here's the deal. If the spook or specter is listening, my Xbox 360 still got the red ring of death. If you could fix that for me, that would be great. I would be in your debt. But, you know, that's just...
Speaking of random, I mean, I think that was a nice little tangent we got on.
Yeah, that was very random. Let's get to our random segment. This week we're talking about the middleweight champions.
Personally, I liked the last random we did. I thought it was good. I thought it was a good in-depth. But the heavyweight division is kind of shallow right now.
Right.
So I think this past summer was the summer of middleweights. I mean, Gladiators of the Cage, Chris Dempsey. I mean, he won the middleweight champions from Tenney Skinny Man Dixon.
Look at the UFC.
Oh, absolutely. Chris Weidman absolutely rocked this summer. So now we're getting in fall. This is our tribute to the middleweights by talking about the middleweight champions. Now, we've drawn 5 names at random.
Right. Out of 23.
Out of 23, we drew 5 names. Again, the criteria is we listed them all alphabetically. We gave them a numeric designation. Out of the one end of the pool was major market and well-known fighters, including UFC, Strikeforce, IFL, WEC, so on and so forth. So everyone who we've pulled has been a middleweight champion in some form or another.
Right, and we didn't pull the names. That was our off-studio producer, Angelina, took care of that. So, and I have the names right here. He doesn't know them. So, all right, are you ready?
Let's do it.
We're going to start off with number 1, and these are in no particular order. Ryan McGivern.
Ryan McGivern, I believe, was a Strikeforce champion. I'll have our producer check on that.
Okay.
Ryan McGivern was good. He certainly is well deserving of being in that top 5.
All right, next up, Paulo Filio.
Paulo Filio. Paulo Filio. An absolute beast.
Feel dirty saying that.
An absolute beast at middleweight. I mean, he completely dominated WEC. He was that fighter, that middleweight champion who was going to take WEC to be like neck and neck with the UFC, and then just completely fell off the North American map.
Paulo Filio, fear of Paulos, apparently. That's just, I don't know. Never mind. Robbie Lawler is...
Ruthless Robbie Lawler.
Yeah. By God, King! No, wrong Lawler. Okay. Couldn't get a... Just talked about JR in the newsreel. So.
Absolutely.
All right, so Robbie Lawler. Kung Lee, not to be confused with Street Fighter's Chun-Li Yatat.
Funny you mentioned that. Kung Lee actually acted in the Tekken movie.
Oh, really?
So we're talking about games that have been produced about fighting. Kung Lee was actually involved. Not Chun-Li from Capcom Street Fighter. But he did play in Tekken.
More of a Mortal Kombat man myself.
Me too.
And last but certainly not least, Chris Lieben.
Oh, the Crippler.
The Crippler.
Okay, so we got 5 names. We got some legendary names in here. Paulo Filio, Robbie Lawler, Ryan McGivern, Chris Lieben. I'm gonna have a real tough time here.
Okay.
We have our 5 names.
Yes.
To rank them.
Do you need this list?
No, I just need you to hold it and just remind me.
I will hold it and remind you. Holding.
This is all based on opinion. Of course, you guys can take to Facebook, you take to the YouTube comment section, give us your 5, how you would have ranked them.
Hey, take to Twitter.
Take to Twitter too.
Whatever, social media.
Number 5, I got Ryan McGivern.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why.
Tell me why.
The IFL Grand Prix was not a revolutionary idea. Mm-hmm. They were doing Grand Prix over in Japan. The Pride organization, Pancrase, I mean, the tournaments are huge over in Japan.
Okay.
And I absolutely love that. So the IFL Grand Prix was a real good concept. However, the IFL spent more money on getting star power for the coaches than they did getting star power on the teams. Now, that's not to take away anyone from fighting the IFL. Chris Hordesky, Pat Healy, Big Country Roy Nelson, all those guys, huge stars. Ryan McGivern didn't have to defeat the talent pool that some of the other guys did to get to their middleweight crowns. So while the IFL middleweight Grand Prix was historic, it just wasn't as brass ring as what, let's say, the UFC or the Strikeforce middleweight championship goes. So I'm going to put Ryan McGivern at number 5.
Okay, who's your number 4?
The Crippler, Chris Lieben.
Okay, why?
You have to understand the difference. There's Paulo Filio was a WEC champion middleweight. So was Chris Lieben. Chris Lieben was a WEC middleweight champion pre-Zuffa.
Okay.
Okay. So Chris Lieben, when he was fighting the WEC, actually broke Benji Raddick's jaw. Chris Lieben's a real powerful southpaw, punched Benji Raddick in the face so hard that his jaw broke. It was kind of gross. The guys that Chris Lieben were defeating in the WEC when he was reigning as middleweight champion were good. A lot of up-and-comers, but they weren't as polished yet as what they were whenever Benji Raddick made it to the IFL and WEC. When Mike Swick was in the UFC as a waterweight, you know, he fought some good guys, but he didn't fight them at their prime. So that's why I got Chris Lieben at number 4.
All right, who are you taking at number 3?
Number 3, I'm really torn between number 2 and 3, but I think I'm gonna have to put Kung Lee at number 3. To me, Kung Lee really arrived whenever he fought Jason Von Flue. Jason Von Flue had the experience of fighting in the IFC, the International Fighting Championships, and then he went to the Ultimate Fighter. He was on the 2nd season. He fought as a welterweight. Him and his coach, Matt Hughes, did not get along whatsoever. I really don't think that Jason Von Flue got the fair shake in the Ultimate Fighter just because him and Matt Hughes didn't get along. If you don't get along with your leader, I mean, what possible opportunities do you have?
Right.
So Jason Von Flue gets a swift kick in the tuchus out of Zuffa. He goes to Strikeforce, and one of his more high-profile fights was against Kung Lee. Kung Lee defeats Von Flue and then just starts taking names left and right up until he gets the Strikeforce middleweight crown. And I believe he defeated Frank Shamrock for that. Frank the Legend Shamrock. But when he fought Frank Shamrock, I mean, he wasn't destroying guys like he was in the UFC when he retired because there wasn't enough competition.
Right.
Frank Shamrock completely turned Igor Zinoviev's clavicle into dust by picking him up and slamming him. So I got Kung Lee at number 3. I think I'm going to regret that, but that's where I'm going.
All right. Number 2.
Ruthless Robbie Lawler.
Going with Robbie Lawler.
I'm going with Ruthless Robbie Lawler. Robbie Lawler trained out of the Militish Fighting Systems camp. MFS was probably the predecessor to guys like the Lion's Den or Hammer House. The guys in MFS were elite. We're talking Jeremy Horn. We're talking Matt Hughes, Tim Sylvia. A lot of guys, including Ruthless Robbie Lawler.
Okay.
Robbie Lawler had a great fight against Nick Diaz. He just did some really, really good things. And when Robbie Lawler got the crown, it made sense. He's now fighting in the UFC again. You know, he's back to where he belongs. And I don't know if at this stage in the game he's going to get back to UFC middleweight title contention, but Robbie Lawler at his prime certainly belongs on this list, and I think at number 2.
All right. Which leaves number 1.
Paulo Filho. Filho was taking the WEC middleweight division to where it needed to be. He was absolutely decimating guys. He was taking the tough fights. He was winning in big fashion. It was Paulo Filho slinging the WEC over their shoulders that was making it worth Zuffa's investment. So Zuffa put all this money into buying the WEC, putting WEC wreckage on Root Sports, and you know who's on Root Sports now? Our buddies, the Gladiators of the Cage. I mean, so Root Sports knows MMA, but WEC was really heading there, and Paulo Filho was taking them. Then Paulo Filho completely falls off the North American map, which I believe I've said before. But I mean, just Paulo Filho leaving, was that the reason WEC folded? Maybe not directly, but I mean, it probably had something to do with it.
All right.
So as far as middleweight kings go, I got Paulo Filho, Ruthless Robbie Lawler, Kung Lee, the Crippler Chris Lieben, and then
Ryan
McGivern. He's going to hit me in the face. I mean, he's going to be like, what? You don't remember me now? You won't forget me.
Yeah.
So
he's going to cold cock you.
He is.
It's going to be painful. All right. Well, now I have something in my eye,
It's you know who. It's Margaret.
Margaret?
Margaret. I named her Margaret.
It's a little girl.
Margaret. They named her Margaret back
No.
then. She's from Osceola Mills. That child is definitely named Margaret.
No, I
grew up in that area, Drew. I know what we named our children back then. It's Margaret.
Moving on.
Moving on. Coming up next, ladies and gentlemen, Drew and I are going to have one of our great hot topic discussions. What is the difference between a martial artist and a fighter?
That coming up next on Cage Nation TV. Right now, check these guys out on YouTube.
Hello, MMA fans. Look, people, MMA fans. And we're wrestling guys on an MMA show. Holy moly. What's this world coming to? We want to take this time and thank Drew Shannon and Albert Cameron.
We do?
Yeah.
All right,
For allowing us a little bit of their time here on Cage Nation Television to promote the Pro Wrestling Rundown. Do I have to do all the talking here?
Come on, guys, show us a little bit of love. We're showing you some love. We know that they're crossover fans, so catch us on our YouTube channel. What is it again, X?
YouTube.com/Pro Wrestling Rundown.
Hope to see you there.
Welcome back to Cage Nation TV. It's time now for the hot topic.
Isn't so much a hot topic, but we're getting the script ready today, me and the pool of producers.
Meaning him.
Right, meaning me. And the thought came into my head. I mean, what is the difference between a martial artist and a fighter? Now, it might be because you're one of my best friends, but I think you're I think you're one of the best ring announcers I have ever heard. I mean, there's a good reason why you're the voice of the center region.
Thank you.
Mainly because you don't announce 50-50 winners in the middle of a fight.
You know what? Yeah, I try not to.
Yeah, that's generally important, but what are you going to do?
That's just common sense, common courtesy, and
right.
Yeah, the such.
So, Drew's a great ring announcer. Well, who's he competing with? He's competing with guys like Bruce Buffer. So then you start thinking about, well, what was Bruce Buffer's earlier work?
I don't think there's any competition there.
Well, you know, like it's the same family of action.
Okay.
He ring announces, you ring announce. Bruce Buffer is always really good about saying, this man is a wrestler. This man is a kickboxer.
Mm-hmm.
This man is a freestyle fighter. I mean, our sport's called mixed martial arts.
Right.
So the guys who step into the cage by proxy in nomenclature would be mixed martial artists.
Right.
As opposed to saying, I'm a cage fighter. So now we're posed with a philosophical question. What is the difference between a martial artist and someone who's a fighter? It's easy to say that someone who's a martial... My thought is someone who's a martial artist is all about like the spiritual center of it. They're training to get mind, body, and spirit all in perfect harmony.
Right.
Whereas a fighter, I'm going out in the street every week to hit you in the face.
Right. Though, I mean, when the hot topic was posed to me, I was thinking, well, a mixed martial artist is someone who understands the technical aspects of jiu-jitsu and grappling,
Right.
and striking and you know, all of that stuff. And a fighter, just to me, would be, you know, I was thinking boxing right off the bat. Like, you know, your Floyd Mayweather Juniors, your Mike Tysons, your Evander Holyfields, your other fighters that I can't remember offhand, but you guys, Muhammad Ali, there you go, Cassius Clay himself.
Sure.
But that's what I think of when I think of a fighter. It's some guy who gets in the ring, rope-a-dope, and then, you know.
There's not a whole lot of science between what he's doing. He's throwing points of contact.
Right. They call boxing the sweet science, but MMA is. I think MMA is just a little bit more. I think
MMA is
more scientific than.
I think MMA is a lot more evolved.
Yeah.
Than what boxing is.
Well, because boxing is just boxing is essentially ducking, weaving, uppercut. You know.
Right.
Just punching.
Now I'll tell you that I hated boxing up until Valley Fight League 42.
Right.
I think that was some great amateur boxing, and I think that was one of the saving graces of the night. We got to talk to the Altoona Boxing Club, the trainer. We're at Sheets, getting a drink for the ride home, and he was just talking to us. I think, wish I would have caught his name. He's a great guy.
He looked. I mean, the guy looked like he'd been in a few fights.
Absolutely.
I mean, your traditional, like Mickey and Rocky. That's what this guy reminded me of. Little pug nose, little short, wrinkly, gray-haired old man. I was like,
are we ever going to get Mickey to admit that MMA is more evolved than boxing?
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
Back to the question at hand. What's the difference between a martial artist and a fighter? Well, we think about who do we identify as a martial artist and who do we identify as a fighter.
Okay.
I identify Lyoto Machida as a martial artist. He's someone who studies karate. He's about the wellness and the zen of his training. I think that's what qualifies and identifies him as a martial artist. Chris Lieben, fantastic fighter. I love watching him fight. I think he's done some exciting stuff. He's had me on the edge of a seat. I don't consider him a martial artist.
Okay.
Just the way he fights, the way he trains, I don't see the martial science behind it. I think Chris Lieben is a fighter. Hoist Gracie, certainly a martial artist. From a very long lineage of martial artists.
The entire Gracie family.
Absolutely. Tank Abbott.
He's a fighter.
Not a martial artist.
No.
He's a fighter.
No, he's a fighter.
Right. So that's the kind of line of thinking I've got.
Okay.
As far as what's a martial artist, what's a fighter. I mean, would you agree with that?
I would tend to agree with that.
I could completely have that backwards. The Cage Nation could disagree with me.
But that's what's great about the Cage Nation.
We're a democracy, up to a point.
Yes.
Albert Cameron calls the shots.
Up until you try to vote us out, and then it becomes a dictatorship.
Then we're coming down on you hard.
And we rule over you.
But I think, just talking to you, I think we have a good understanding. We'd love to know what you guys think. Take to Twitter, tweet us, shoot us an email.
Hashtag us. Whatever you do on Twitter.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest, I'm not a big Twitter user. I'm more of a Facebook kind of dude.
Kess is a good tweeter.
Kess is a good tweeter. Mike Kessling is a very good, he loves to tweet.
He sure knows how to play with his Twitter.
Yes. That was wrong. Is that going to do it? Are you done with the hot topic?
I think. Do you feel confident that we've discussed the topic at hand? I mean, do we have resolution? Do we have an understanding?
I believe we have come to a resolution. We have come to an understanding, and we can get some closure now on this topic.
Oh. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as always, take to social media. Let your friends know that you are a proud citizen of the Cage Nation. That includes liking us on Facebook, following us on Twitter, subscribing to this channel on YouTube, of course going to CageNationTV.com. We always have some good news stories. Just posted a news story yesterday about how Valley Fight League is not dead in the ground.
All right.
They are returning to promotion. They are going to be in West Virginia. So I mean, that That's the kind. You're not going to get
No.
Altoona, Johnstown local news like that anywhere other than CageNationTV.com.
Now, whether they return to Altoona is yet to be seen. Jinx, you know me, Hook.
Ha. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so, again, Facebook, Twitter, CageNationTV.com, subscribe. For Drew Shannon, I am your elected official, Albert Cameron. Thank you guys very, very much for tuning in. We'll see you next week right here on Cage Nation TV.
And in the words of the immortal Kevin Nash, buy the shirt!
We haven't put them on sale yet.
Oh, well then never mind.
And we're still giving away the Dan Severn gloves. We got details in the work with that.
Yes. Now can we wrap up?
Now we can wrap up.
Next
We're
week
done.
I got all this up. All right.
We're done. We'll see you guys next week.
Wolfpack out.
Peace!
Let's go. Ah.
How did I get there?
Go.
That's really weird. You weren't holding on to it, were you? Okay, that's freaking me out. Because I didn't have it. She never gave it to me. I completely forgot to get it from her.
Wow.
That's
I'm
messed.
creeped out a little bit.
I am too.
All right.